Welcome to this session of simple interest, compound interest. This is an important topic for few of the papers, namely IFT, SNAP, CMAT. In CAT or in ZAT, you can expect one odd question from this topic, but the concepts which you learn here will be important from the point of view of data interpretation also. So let's get on to the question straight away. Let's look at the first question. A sum of money compounded annually becomes 625 in 2 years and 675 in 3 years. What is the rate of interest? Let us get the concept first. If I have a 100 rupees with me and it has to be given on compound interest, and let me assume the rate of interest is 10%. First year you will get 10% of 100 rupees and it will become 110 rupees. Second year you will get interest not on 100 rupees but on the 110 rupees which is there. So the interest which you earn becomes a part of the principal for the subsequent years. So 10% of this 11 rupees you get, it becomes 121 rupees. Or in other words, you can see that the gap 11 rupees is nothing but the interest on 110 rupees. And that is the concept which can be applied here also. At the end of 2 years, in this particular question, 625 rupees is the principal at the end of 2 years. The amount becomes, the principal whatever it was, it becomes 625 at the end of 2 years. What happens after 3 years? It becomes 675. Or in other words, from the second year to the third year, you have got an interest of 50 rupees. That 50 rupee interest is on the base of 625 rupees. So your rate of interest has to be 50 rupees is the interest on the base of 625 rupees. So this becomes your rate of interest. Obviously into 100 has to be done. So 25 2s are 25 25s are 625, 25 4s are. So this is 8% interest. So here all we did was we said from year 2 to year 3 whatever is the increase that is on account of interest on the total amount at the end of year 2, and on that basis we got the answer. Okay. Let's look at the next question. There is a data interpretation, data sufficiency question. Mark A if the question can be answered 1 alone. Statement 1 alone is A. Statement 2 alone is B. Both 1 and 2 together, they are needed to answer the question, that is C, and cannot be answered is D. So, okay, she lost her sheep, she couldn't remember how many were there. She knew she would have had 400 more next year than the number of sheep she had last year. So if last year she had X, this year whatever it is, next year it will be X plus 400. This is what statement, this is what the data tells us. Okay. The question stem, the basic root data tells us that the number of sheep between, the difference in number of sheep between last year and next year is going to be 400. Next, let's go to the statements. Number of sheep last year was 20% more than the year before that, and this rate of interest continues for the next 20 years. Great. So number of sheep is 20% more than the year before last. So if this is X, the year before last, this X is 20% more than the previous year. But what kind of rate of interest is it? Is this growth simple growth or is it compounded growth? We do not know. So statement 1 alone is insufficient to answer the question. What about statement 2? It tells us the increase is compounded annually. So if the increase is compounded annually, that, and this is the same 20% growth which will happen from here to here also. These are two successive increments of 20%. Compounding is nothing but successive increments. So instead of doing 1.2 square, you could even say two successive increments of 20%. So using both these statements, you can get the answer, and the correct answer is choice C. Let us look at the next question. A man earns 6% simple interest on his deposits in bank A, while he earns 8% in bank B. Okay, so bank A gives him 6% interest, bank B gives him 8% interest. If the total interest he earns is 1800 in 3 years on an investment of 9000, so in total interest is 1800 on an investment of 9000, what is the amount invested at 6%? Okay. So let us assume that the amount invested at 6% is X, and hence the amount invested at 8% will be 9000 minus X. Okay. So 6% of X for how many years? Okay. For 3 years into 3, and 8% of 9000 minus X into 3. How much is this equal to? This is equal to 1800. From here you can get X. Okay. Simple method, not too much of a problem. You calculate the interest on both the years, both the banks, and you get the value of X, and then you can get the answer. But we can again do alligation out here. Alligation is a very important tool. Wherever you are mixing any two things, physical or non-physical mixture, you can always use it. What are we mixing out here? We are mixing 6% rate of interest with 8% rate of interest and getting some average rate of interest. So let us look at this question again and see how to apply alligation. Bank A, 6% rate of interest, but this is for 3 years, so for 3 years it should be 18% interest would be received by you. Bank B, the rate of interest is 8%, and since this for 3 years, the total interest received from Bank B is 24%. Okay. What is the average interest received? It is 800 or 9,000. 1800 or 9,000. 1800 is 20%. So you are mixing 18% rate of interest with 24% rate of interest, so that the average rate of interest is 20%. 24 minus 20 is 4. 20 minus 18 is 2. This means that the amount of money which has been out of the total money, 1:2 is the ratio to be looked at. So out of the total amount of money, 1 out of 3 or 1/3 of the total amount is invested in Bank B, and 2 out of 3 or 2/3 of money is invested in Bank A. Okay. What this gives us is the ratio of the total amount invested in each of the banks. So if the total amount invested is 6 rupees, then Bank A will have 4 out of 6 or 2 out of 3, and Bank B will have 1 out of 3. Since the question is what is the amount invested at 6%? 6% is Bank A. It was 2/3 of 9,000, which is 6,000. Both the methods will give you the same answer. Alligation is always preferable because it has lesser calculation and hence faster, and chance of making a mistake reduce. The next question. Mungedi Lal has 2 investment plans A and B to choose from. Plan A offers him 10% compounded annually, while Plan B offers him interest at 12% per annum. Okay. So Plan B is simple interest. Plan A is compounded interest. Since nothing is mentioned, we will assume it to be simple interest. Till how many years is Plan B a better investment? Let us check out. Plan A is 10% compounded annually, and Plan B is 12% simple interest. So at the end of year 1, Plan B will give you 12%, 24% in second year, 36% in the third year, 48% in the fourth year, 60% in the fifth year, and so on. Okay. So because simple interest, every year you get the same amount. So if it is 5 years, 60%, if it is 10 years, 120% of the principal. What about compounding? In the first year, you will get only 10%. Second year, there will be 2 successive increments of 10%, 10% for the first year, 10% for the second year. 2 successive increments of 10% are nothing but A plus B plus AB by 100, or 10 plus 10 plus 1, so it becomes 20. So your cumulative interest at the end of second year in terms of compounding is 21%, which is still less than what you are getting from Plan B. Third, this will be 3 successive increments of 10%, or it could even be written as 1.1 cube minus 1. 1.1 cube is 1.331 or 1331, or so this will mean an interest of 33.1%. Okay. When I say 1.1 cube minus 1, I missed out of 100, which you can apply yourself. Okay. So at the end of third year also, Plan B is better. What about fourth year? How do you get the value for fourth year? Fourth year is nothing but 2 successive increments of 21%, because 21% is for 2 years. Okay. So for 4 years it should be nothing but 2 successive increments of 21%. So A plus B plus AB by 100. 21 plus 21, 42 plus 4.41, 46.41. It is still B which is better. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is wrong. This is wrong. We answer is 5, 6 or 7. Okay, let's check the fifth one. How will you get for 5 years? 2 successive increments of 3 years, which is 33.1% and 21%. So 5 is nothing but 2 plus 3. So 2 successive or 21 and 3 successive or rather it is equivalent to saying these are 2 successive increments of 21% and 33.1%. Again applying the same 33.1 plus 21 A plus B plus AB by 100. 33 into 21 will be 33 into 20 is 66. So let's just round it off and say this is approximately 6.6 upon 100. So 6.6. So 33 and 21 54.1 plus 6.6 60.6 or 60.7. 60.7 obviously at the end of 5th year A becomes a better option. So till how many years is plan B better than A? Plan B is better than A for the first 4 years. Sorry, the correct answer is 4. 5th year onwards, plan B becomes a better option. Okay. So please apply the concept of successive increments whenever you need to do compounding. So for 5th year, what did we do? We said there is 2 successive increments of 21% and 33.1%. 4 years, 2 successive increments of 21%. Okay. Next question. Mr. Jeevan wants to give some amount of money to his 2 children so that although today they may not be using it, in future the money would be of use to them. He divides the sum of rupees 18,750 between his 2 sons aged 10 years and 13 years. 750 has to be distributed between 2 people who are 10 years and 13 years respectively in such a way that each would receive the same amount at 3% per annum when they achieve 30 years of age. How many years are required for the first person? The younger child, he will need 20 years. What about the older child? 13-year-old, he will get 17 years. Okay. Let's just go to the whiteboard to solve it completely. So the amount is 18,750. Part of it goes to the younger child, part of it goes to the older child. Second, the rate of interest is 3%. For the younger child, there are 20 years available, and for the older child, there are 30 years available. Okay. So what is the original share of the younger son? Let's just check it out. The amount of money available is 18,750. So let us assume that the older child gets X rupees. So the younger child will then get, if the older child is getting X rupees, younger child will get 18,750 minus X. Okay. Now this amount of money will be put in a bank at 3% per annum for 17 years for the older child. So into 1.03 or 1 plus 3 by 100, which is nothing but 1.03 raised to power 20. We want that both of them should get the same amount. So in his case, in the case of the younger child, it will, I'm sorry, this should be, this is the older child, so this should be 17 years. And for the younger child, it is 1.03 raised to power 20. Okay. So you need to solve this equation. Lengthy equation, yes, it is a lengthy equation, but you don't have an option. Okay. So you will have to say, okay, now this is X is equal to 18,750 minus X into 1.03 raised to power 3. How much is 1.03 raised to power 3? If you remember your Vedic maths, 103 cube will be 3 cube is 27, 3x square again 27, 109. So 1.03 cube. Okay. But we don't need this one. So you can say this is approximately 9.27%. Okay. So you can say this is equal to 18,750 minus X into 1.0927, or if you want to be approximate, 1.093. You will have to do the calculation. You don't have an option. Be careful about the choices. The choices are reasonably close, so it might be useful for you to do the calculation completely. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Mr. Mishra invested 25,000 in 2 fixed deposits, X and Y, offering compound interest at the rate of 6% per annum and 8% per annum. Okay. If the total amount of interest accrued in 2 years through both fixed deposits is 3518, then the amount invested in schemes X is how much? Again, 6% per annum compounded annually for 2 years. What is the interest you will get? These are two successive increments of 6%. So 6 plus 6, 12 plus 36 by 100, it implies you are getting an interest of 12.36%. 8% per annum compounded annually for 2 years. This will mean 8 plus 8 plus 64 by 100. So this becomes 16.64%. Okay. So you can solve it and you can do it by allegation. Again, I would like you to look at allegation more than anything else. So 3518 is the interest which you have received on 25,000. So what is the cumulative interest you have received? Let's go to the whiteboard. The cumulative interest which you have received is 3518 on 25,200. Okay. So 3518 upon 250. In fact, an easier way would actually be 3518 is received on 25,000. What would it be on 1 lakh into 4? So if you multiply numerator denominator both with 4, this will become 3518 into 4 is 7036. 7036 into 2 becomes 14,072. So it becomes 14072 on 1 lakh. So on 100 this is nothing but 14.072%. So what happens? Your average interest is 14.072%. In one case you are getting an interest of 16.64%. In the other case you are getting interest of 12.36%. Apply allegation. This gives you the ratio of amount. And you can then find the apply that on 25,000. That looks difficult. It should not be difficult, but let's just do it. 14.072 minus 12.36. 14.072 minus 14.360. So 2, 1, 10 minus 3 is 7. 13 minus 12 is 1. So this is 1.712 or 1712. Similarly, what about this? So this again you can do 16640 minus 14072. 10 minus 2, 8. 13 minus 7, 6. Now this is 5 minus 0, 5, 2. So this is 2.568. Okay, 1712, 2568. Reduce it to manageable fractions, you will get the answer. Do the calculation completely. You don't have an option but to do the calculation. Remember, of late, CAT, SAT, everyone has started giving large number of questions which are oriented towards calculation. So please make sure you practice calculation, do all these questions all over again, and make sure you remember the methods also. Apply allegation wherever you have any kind of mixture.